Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're going to tackle a really important topic for any organization that's serious about safety, making the switch from OHSAS 18001 to the new global standard ISO 45001. So if you're ready, let's jump right into your step-by-step guide.
All right, let's just start with a really direct question. Is your current safety management system actually up to the job? If you're still certified under OHSAS 18001, you might be missing out on a huge upgrade, one that's designed to completely transform your workplace for the better.
Okay, so first things first, let's really get our heads around this shift. And I want to be crystal clear here. This isn't just about getting a new certificate to hang on the wall. It's a massive evolution in how we think about and manage occupational health and safety across the board.
Now this slide really gets to the core of it, the fundamental change in philosophy. You see, OHSAS 18001 was all about controlling hazards that already exist. It's a reactive approach, right? And it was often kind of siloed, left to the safety manager to handle. But ISO 45001, it's a whole different ballgame. It's proactive. It demands that safety is woven right into the very fabric of the business, with leadership not just approving things, but actually driving the process. It takes safety out of that silo and puts it right where it belongs, in the boardroom.
So that naturally brings us to the big question. Why bother? Why go through all the effort to make this move? Well, let's dive into the core benefits and some of the really compelling reasons for adopting this new, much more dynamic standard.
The key here is that the improvements you'll see are tangible, they're real. ISO 45001 places this huge emphasis on leadership commitment. So what does that actually mean in practice? It means leaders aren't just signing a policy once a year. No, they're actively involved in safety walkthroughs, they're asking tough questions in meetings, they're championing the cause. It also really empowers your workers, giving them a genuine voice in safety decisions. This all comes together to create a much stronger, more resilient safety culture, from the very top of the organization right down to the shop floor. Okay, so you can see the benefits, right? It's a clear upgrade. But where on earth do you start? Well, that brings us to what is, without a doubt, the most critical phase of this entire process, planning. Because just like any big project, solid preparation isn't just a good idea, it's everything. It is the absolute key to a smooth and successful transition.
Your very first and most important tool in this process is something called a gap analysis. And the concept is actually pretty simple. Think of it like planning a road trip. You wouldn't just get in the car and start driving, would you? Of course not. You'd look at a map to see the distance between where you are now and where you want to be. A gap analysis does exactly that for your safety system. It shows you precisely what needs to change, what needs an update, and maybe what you need to build from the ground up to meet those new ISO 45001 requirements. All right, to make this even more doable, let's look at this pre-migration checklist. First, you have to secure that commitment from management. And here's a pro tip. Don't just ask for it, sell it. Give them a clear business case that focuses on those long-term benefits. Next, get your key people trained on the new standard so they can be your champions. Then, you're going to do that gap analysis we just talked about. And finally, with all that information, you create a detailed implementation plan with clear timelines and accountability. That becomes your roadmap to success.
So you've got your plan in hand. What does this journey actually look like in the real world? Let's walk through a pretty typical 6-month migration timeline to help demystify the whole process.
So here's how that 6-month journey usually plays out. For the first 2 months, you're all about that initial training and, of course, doing your gap analysis. Months 3 and 4, that's where the rubber meets the road. This is your big implementation phase, where you're updating documents, changing processes, and training the rest of the team. By month 5, you should be running your own internal audits to check your progress and fix any issues. And that all leads up to month 6, when you should be ready for the big one, the final external certification audit.
So you made it through the journey, and now you're certified. That's fantastic. But the real value here is so much more than just a piece of paper. Let's talk about the genuine long-term benefits that ISO 45001 is going to bring to your organization.
What you really gain here is huge, and it connects directly to your bottom line. You build a proactive safety culture that doesn't just protect your people, it actively reduces incidents, which often leads to lower insurance premiums. You also show that you're a leader in your industry, which boosts your brand reputation and makes you a much more attractive partner to work with. You'll ensure better legal compliance, which reduces the risk of expensive fines. And maybe most importantly, you create a workplace where everyone feels valued and safe, which is proven to boost morale, improve retention, and attract the best talent.
This quote just perfectly captures the spirit of this standard. See, getting certified isn't the finish line. It's really the starting block for a whole new, continuous journey of improvement, embedding safety right into the DNA of your organization.
So the final question really is for you. Now that you have this roadmap, are you ready to take that next step toward a safer, a more resilient, and ultimately a more successful future for your whole organization?